All right, let's jump right in. In this explainer, we're going to untangle this really tricky relationship between political goals, economic growth, and the health of our planet. We're going to dig into why our drive for progress so often feels like it's in a head-to-head battle with protecting the environment. Okay, so to really get this, we need to talk about one core idea: sustainable development. This definition from way back in 1987 is all about balance. It's more than just a phrase. It's really a call to action. It's a reminder that every single choice we make today directly shapes the world we're going to leave behind. Sounds pretty straightforward, doesn't it? But here's the huge paradox. The source material points out that the very things we do to make our lives more comfortable, to raise our standard of living, are often the exact things that damage the natural world we rely on. So what's the deal? Why does our search for a better life so often end up hurting the very planet we need to survive? To get to the bottom of this, we have to look at what's really pulling the strings. According to the source, the engine of what we call progress is often a direct clash between our political and economic ambitions and the well-being of our environment. So, what the source material really points to are these two huge forces driving environmental change. One is political ambition, and the other is this relentless push for economic growth. See, development isn't just something that happens. It's shaped by political decisions, powerful interests, and a global economy that is basically built on the idea of constant expansion. And this is where you can really see the trade-off, laid out plain and simple. Governments, they tend to focus on things like rapid growth, building more factories, and these massive infrastructure projects. But as the source explains, these very actions often lead straight to some pretty devastating consequences. We burn through our natural resources, pump out soaring levels of CO2, and create pollution on a massive scale. And look, this isn't just some abstract idea. It's a pattern we see again and again all over the world. The source is crystal clear on this. When a government's plans just ignore the environment, economic development comes at a really steep price, a price that is often impossible to reverse. It's a classic case of chasing short-term wins that lead to long-term planetary pain. Okay, so enough with the theory. What does this conflict actually look like in the real world? The source gives us some really powerful examples that are, well, basically cautionary tales. Our first stop is Japan, right after World War II. The country was absolutely desperate to rebuild its economy, and that meant industrialization fast. The focus was on growth pretty much at any cost. But that promise of recovery, man, it came with a horrifying price. A corporation called Chisso was dumping industrial waste, loaded with mercury, right into Minamata Bay, which led to this terrible neurological disease. And the real tragedy here? The government was so laser-focused on its industrial goals that it failed to stop the pollution. This was an absolutely preventable disaster for both people and the environment. Okay, let's fast forward to a more modern story in a developing nation. This one really shows how this conflict is still playing out right now, today. And here, the tension is just so clear. On one hand, you have the promise of energy and economic opportunity for the people. But on the other hand, the risk is immense. This plant is being built right next to a critical, incredibly fragile ecosystem. You've got the government pushing the project forward, while activists are sounding the alarm about the grave dangers to the forest and the people who depend on it. Yeah, those stories are pretty bleak, right? But they also show us there's another way. This isn't about stopping development altogether, but about totally rethinking what it means. So let's check out a different path forward. The big idea here is to stop thinking of it as progress versus the planet. Sustainable development changes the whole conversation. It says that for any development to be truly successful over the long haul, it has to protect the environment. It means seeing the economy and ecology as two sides of the very same coin. And here's the crucial part. For sustainability to actually work, you need all three of these pillars to be strong. Think of it like a three-legged stool. If you kick out any one of those legs, the environmental one, the social one, or the economic one, the whole thing just topples over. You absolutely need all three working together. But having a great idea, this three-legged stool framework, well, that's the easy part. The real question is, how do you actually do it, especially when you've got these powerful political and economic forces in the mix? Well, the source material argues that it all comes down to something called governance. Basically, the systems and the rules we use to make decisions. If our process for making choices is broken, if it only cares about short-term money, then the results are going to be broken too. We have to fix the process itself. So what does good governance even look like? Well, it means things are participatory, that local communities actually get a say. It's transparent, so you can see what's going on. It's accountable, meaning leaders have to answer for the consequences of their choices. It has to be fair, effective, and follow the rule of law. And this next idea takes it even further. Now, Earth system governance is a bit of a mouthful, but the idea is pretty straightforward. Governments can't fix this alone. No way. Protecting the planet means everyone has to be involved. We're talking local communities, activists, scientists, big corporations, everyone. It's about building a huge global network where we all share the responsibility. So at the end of the day, it all comes back to this one critical question. The source material has made it really clear that politics is right at the heart of our environmental problems. So we're left to think about what kind of politics, what kind of public pressure, and what kind of global teamwork we actually need to build a future that works for both people and the planet.